Cheers.
All right, Michael, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So what made you decide to write a comic book?
Well, I've always been a comic book fan, and actually started writing comics about 8 or 9 years ago now, I think, with Lucid, which was my first comic through Archaea Books at the time. And then I got into writing on the True Blood comic book series, and then I went through the DC Talent Workshop a couple years ago. I've done a couple things for DC, and then Adventure Van has been actually like a baby of mine for the past couple years. It's coming out now through Golden Apple Books, who's a brand new publisher.
So give us a brief runtime about Adventure Van for anybody who might want to pick it up in a month.
Yeah, so it's about a guy named Corey Biggs who grew up in Kansas, a lot like myself, and he discovers that his uncle's sci-fi fantasy novel, Twilight on Bravas, is actually a true story, and he's the long-lost prince of a fantasy kingdom in a different dimension. Some stuff happens that I don't want to spoil, and it involves an interdimensional 1970s camper van, and they go on an adventure, and Corey's really learning that he's got to step up and become a grown-up for the first time in his life.
One of the other things that I write for, sometimes we cover a lot of strong female characters. Is there, if he's a long-lost prince, I'm assuming there's a princess that he is supposed to marry, perhaps?
There might be. That's something, part of what I want to do with Adventure Van is take some of these fantasy and sci-fi motifs and twist them a little bit. So I have sort of mapped out some of these relationships and where they're going to go, but they may not end up in the place that you think they will. There are definitely a lot of strong female characters in this book. His best friend Katie is a fangirl of his uncle's book, and she knows more about the world that they're about to go into than Corey even does. And I'm very excited about where her character is going to go, and there are a lot of badass women on the other side of the dimensional rift in the land of Bravas that they're going to meet, but I don't want to say too much.
No, I get it. You've got a month. How far ahead in writing are you right now?
I have completed the first 5 scripts, which is sort of the first season of the comic book. Golden Apple's a brand new publisher, so we're doing 5 first, and then if it does well, which I actually think it will, we have plans to do seasons 2 and beyond. My goal is to do, I'd love to do like 100 issues. So I sort of have a big mega arc planned out.
What are you finding the most difficult about writing your own comic?
Well, I'm a terrible copy editor, so I'm glad I have Will Dennis, my editor, looking over my shoulder. I am terrible at it. I cannot see my own mistakes. But it's daunting when you're creating a brand new world, and especially like an epic fantasy world, to make sure that all the details are consistent. And also leaving windows open where I go, okay, I know this much about this world right now and this much about the universe and what the characters are going to do, but I also have to leave things open for surprises and other aspects of this world that I haven't explored yet or invented yet, or the characters haven't discovered.
While you're writing, are you discovering that you're a forest guy or a tree guy?
I am a forest guy becoming a tree guy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
I think if I understand your question.
I
tend to think big picture first and then narrow it down into the microcosm.
Okay, that's one of those writer questions that sometimes people are like, forest or trees? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I tend to see the scope. I'll see the forest and then I'm like, okay, I want to go into that forest and check out the individual trees.
What are you loving most about being and working for a startup publishing company?
I mean, it's always exciting to be on the ground floor of something, and I've known the guys at Golden Apple for years now. Ryan Leibowitz, who's the shop owner, I've been going to Golden Apple since I moved to Los Angeles. It's been my neighborhood comic book store. And it's just also exciting to see him take the brand and go from retail into publishing and production as well. So it's really exciting to see, and it also feels like I'm working with people that I've known for a long time.